with iMore.com, and I'm going to give you a comparison between 3 very popular note-taking apps for the iPad: Remarks, Notability, and Noteshelf. First, let's go ahead and take a look at Noteshelf. Noteshelf's home screen, or I guess you could call it, is really nice looking. It looks like a bookshelf, and on my bookshelf I have notebooks. And if you want to group your notes together, you simply just pick one up and move it on top. So I'll actually put it here. So it's just like when you group together apps. And then you can even give this group a name. I'm just going to stick with test for now, and color code it. And we'll go ahead and color this one with green. So here is one of my groups color-coded with red. This one is color-coded with green, and it tells me how many items are in there. And I'm going to tap done. Now, if I want to see what's inside them, simply tap, and you're taken inside of the folder. So it's basically like a sub-note shelf. Next up is Remarks. Now, Remarks has a very simple layout. It's just a grid on a gray background. That's it. And as you can see, on my grid is my notes. Now, if I want to group together my notes, I actually have to first create a folder. So I create my folder. I'm just going to leave it as new folder here. And now I have, it even looks like a folder, so that's kind of nice. And then I hit edit. And if I want to group stuff together, I have to tap and then hit move and select where I want it to go. Now, this is what Notability looks like. Personally, I don't really like it. I think it's a little, I don't know. It's not pleasing to the eyes, in my opinion. But it's more like a file system versus the grids or a note shelf system. So over here we have what's called categories and subjects. So I have iMore, so let's go ahead and do this, listed as a category, and under iMore I've got a test, and under school I have math and English. Now, to go ahead and organize things, I tap edit. And then I can say, like, let's say, well, I wanted math to be part of iMore. I can just drag it up there. If I want to add a new category, I just hit the plus sign, and now I can choose a category or a subject. So let's go ahead and add another subject. We'll say it's Spanish, and we hit done, and so it pops up down here. And if I wanted to not have it there, I can just drag it right on it. To add a new note, I tap create new note, and here we go. I have a new note, and I can edit its name right here. And now you'll see that it's right there inside of my Spanish. Next, I want to talk about PDF integration with the app. Right here, I'm in Dropbox right now. So I tap open in, and I see I have Notability and Remarks as options. Notice I do not have Noteshelf. That is because Noteshelf does not offer PDF support, so I cannot annotate PDFs with Noteshelf. Now, this is actually how I need to get into Remarks. I have to have my PDF open somewhere else, whether it's in an email or in Dropbox or whatever, and then open it into Remarks. I could have done the same thing to open my PDF inside of Notability. However, Notability with Dropbox or iDisk or WebDev lets you import directly from them within the app, which is a really great feature if you ask me. So I can just tap my Dropbox and navigate to the folder that I want, or the file that I want, and it imports it directly from Dropbox. So I'll create the new note, say OK, and there it is. And then also notice that it applied the paper type. This is actually supposed to have a white background, so if I want that white background, I can go ahead and do that. But I can give my PDF any look that I want. I'm going to stick with white. All 3 apps have a really nice zoom feature that lets you get text written really small onto your document. So let's first test what it looks like without using the zoom feature, and I'm going to write as small as I can. So if I write nice and small, and I'm using a fine pen too, that's about as small as it's going to get. If I hit the zoom tool, I can now zoom in on an area of my paper. So I'm going to write right next to it. I'm going to pick a different pen color, and now I'm going to write small. And as you can see, that's a lot smaller. And I can make it even smaller. I mean, let's go ahead and do it. So I can get it to be really, really tiny. But the other main thing I wanted to show you is, let's say I'm writing over here, and I'm writing yada, 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 yada. As soon as I get here and let go, it pushes it over, and it leaves a little bit of what I did showing so that it can be a nice way. So it's a way so that you can be writing and then transition and keep writing without having to move it physically with your hand. If you get to the end like I am now, then it pushes down to the next line. So it came all the way to the left and down a little bit. With remarks, I tap the plus sign down here. And your box, you can change the size of the box, but you can't change the zoom amount. So I can adjust this area, just like with Note Shelf. If I write into there, I get tabbed over. So I can adjust how much space I want to have right there, and also how much up and down. The reason why this might be nice, because maybe you don't want your hand to affect it. So if you bring this up and then move this where you want, then you can rest your wrist without affecting where you write. With Notability, you tap this plus sign down here, and Notability has the biggest zoom you can do. I mean, look at that. Look at how huge it made that tiny text. So I can be able to write super, super small. Super small with this app. It's almost too small. I mean, look at the original paper. Look at how tiny that writing is. But I mean, maybe you need to, and you can. Or you can, make it a little bit bigger and a little bit more reasonable so that your writing is a little bit bigger, but it's still small. So Notability offers the most flexibility when it comes to this. One thing that Notability offers that the other ones do not is this voice recording. So right now it's now recording my voice so that I can have audible notes associated with this. So I could record a lecture during class, for example, and have this audio going the whole time. And then I just hit stop, and then I can hit play, which I won't do, but you get the point. Now after you're done with your notes, you probably want to share them in some way, shape, or form. So with Note Shelf, you actually have a couple different options here. If I want to really quickly share the top page, like for example, maybe so it's a picture you drew, and you want to just really quickly share this page only, you can do that via email, Twitter, or Facebook, just the current page. If you want to share your entire notebook, you come over here, you tap the arrow, and you can tap which pages you want. Then you tap export. And then you can choose to do it as an image or PDF. I always do PDF. And then down here is your choices: email, iTunes, Dropbox, Evernote, iPad, album, or print. With remarks, you have a couple different options. From within your note, you can tap the arrow and say up. You can email it or open in. So if I want to open it somewhere else, I can do that here. Notice my choices here are other note-taking apps, Dropbox, which is like a PDF app. Well, it's more than that, but I mean, if I had another PDF app, then I could open it there, or iBooks. I can also choose to upload it directly to Dropbox or Google Docs or the WebDAV server, so this is really nice. Or you can do it from this page and say edit, tap the one you want to share, and then open in. So from this menu, you can't do upload. You can just open it somewhere else. So if I wanted to open it in Dropbox, for example, it works just like this. To share with Notability, I tap the share button up here. I can choose to send it to email, Dropbox. I can also do open in like we looked at earlier, like this. There is WebDAV, iDisk, iTunes, or print. I can choose to have the paper turned on or off. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it right there. Oh, if you do Dropbox, you can specifically choose where you want it to go. They automatically create a Notability folder for you if you wish. And you can also choose the file type between PDF, RTF, and the note, and whether or not you want to include recordings. One thing I find important with my note-taking apps is how well the handwriting looks. If the handwriting looks rigid and rough, then I don't like it, and I don't like how it makes my handwriting look. So I look for apps that actually improve the way my handwriting looks. And so let's go ahead and take a close look at how these apps do with handwriting. I'm going to pick a nice large font. I mean, not font, but you know what I mean. A nice big size. So notice here that it has like nice features to it. It's fat right here, and then it got skinny, and then it's fat again. So it actually makes my handwriting look pretty nice. Probably nicer than it really does. It's like I'm writing with a very nice pen. Notice it has to do with how fast I move. So if I move my pen really slow, then it's of course going to be rigid and fat. And if I speed up, it gets skinnier. So it's all based on speed, on how it makes your handwriting look. And you naturally start out slower when you write and end slower. So that's why it looks very natural, like a pen. Next, we'll see what the handwriting looks like with remarks. Now remember, with remarks, we couldn't go any larger than 3 point. So this is what we're going to have to use. We'll go ahead and choose red again. Now with remarks, notice that my handwriting is just okay. Everything is fixed width. Doesn't matter if I'm moving slow or if I'm moving fast, the width of my pen is always the same. Now it's not extremely rigid like I've seen some other apps, but it's also not fantastic. Okay, now let's take a look at Notability. Here's their pen sizes. Let's go ahead and choose this one. We'll do red again. And I also have 2 different styles up here. Now this first one is actually going to be very similar to remarks. It's fixed width, so it doesn't matter how fast I go. It always looks the same. Now their other style is more like noteshelf, where depending on how fast you're writing, depends on how fat and how wide the pen marks appear. So with this one, it looks like that. Now, Notability actually does the effect a little bit more drastically. Of all 3 of them, I think remarks is the one that's not the best. But like I said, it's not terrible.